Welcome to the Business 7 Show. My name is Wamkele, and in this week's edition of the Business 7 Show, we take a look at the US-Africa Business Summit, which was held in Luanda, Angola recently, where President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah participated. We also feature an interview with Damon Howard, who will be speaking about the upcoming Global Africa Green Hydrogen Summit. Damien Howard of DMG Events joins us in studio this week to talk about the upcoming Global African Green Hydrogen Conference. Damien joins us to speak about the upcoming Africa Green Hydrogen Summit. Welcome, and thank you for offering us the opportunity.
Oji, thank you for the opportunity and the invitation here.
The Green Hydrogen Summit, just want to understand, I know there's still some way off, but what is happening in between now and September when the Green Hydrogen Summit kicks off?
So first of all, it's the Global African Hydrogen Summit. And the reason I mention that is because since the launch of the Global African Hydrogen Summit here in Namibia last year for its inaugural edition, there have been a number of events across the continent. And so we like to be colour agnostic when it comes to hydrogen because there are opportunities across what we call the hydrogen rainbow, not just for green hydrogen, but also blue, pink, white, etc. Anyway, going back to your question, we've been here in Windhoek for the past few days for the international press conference for the Global African Hydrogen Summit, and it is we've kicked off now the official launch.
In terms of expectations, what can participants likely look forward to by participating in this Global Africa Green Hydrogen Summit?
So it's a really good question because the Global African Hydrogen Summit that was actually launched at COP28 in Dubai in December 2023 was really born out of a necessity, a need to position Africa within the global context of the emerging hydrogen economy. And so what we found going into the Global African Hydrogen Summit last year, there were key themes that were really assessing the key founding countries of the African Green Hydrogen Alliance. Of course, Namibia, South Africa, Kenya, Mauritania, Morocco and Egypt. And so the inaugural event was really positioning those countries side by side, shoulder by shoulder, assessing the progress that they were making, and then really taking a step forward to assess the opportunities for partnerships and to really drive critical financing and investment into projects, green energy projects across the continent of strategic and national importance. And we definitely delivered that. It was a very successful conference, organised by DMG Events, so that's the company I work for, a world-class organiser of exhibitions and conferences with 15 offices around the world, who have been based, I should say, in Africa for over 25 years, working in partnership with the government of Namibia and with supporting partners, the NIPDB, the Namibia Green Hydrogen Council, and of course the programme. And so what we found is, as we've started to develop the programme for this year's sequel edition, of course we were very, very honoured to be invited back for the sequel edition to run here in Namibia. What we found is that concurrent with preparations, of course there's been a global tumult in geopolitics, in economics. And so what we found is that over the past 6 months, the global hydrogen hype has been dialed down. And what that's left us with is the contenders who are serious about the long-term prospects of hydrogen. And so when we've cut through the noise, what we've really found is that the opportunity for Africa is kind of hinged on three pivotal factors, I would say. It's about how can African nations and their international counterparts co-create and develop these projects for socio-economic benefit for each African nation. How can there be a balance that's harmonized between the export of a green molecule or green product in balance with domestic, local valorization, local demand. And then the third piece is really What does local content look like? What does localization look like? What does the local in-country value, whether it's Namibia, South Africa, Mauritania, Kenya, wherever it might be, what does that look like? And as a table stake, how can that be built in to the framework of an energy project from the outset to benefit, obviously, all citizens within a nation?
And then speaking into the issue of green hydrogen, of course, what are the potential impacts that it has for not just for Namibia, but for the greater African continent?
So I think really what we need to look at is we need to look at hydrogen and even green hydrogen and its derivatives not as a silver bullet. It is one energy product or one energy solution that Africa can really harness for huge socio-economic impact, but it's part of a broader mix. So there are many, many other energy sources that will make up that balanced mix that will help to decarbonize the globe and the global energy system. So really, I think the opportunities for hydrogen, certainly green hydrogen, are at the moment they're adjacent and peripheral. But if you look at the huge impacts that it could have on the mining sector, construction, concrete, steel fabrication, even oil and gas, for example, then it becomes a much more interesting conversation because we've got this green product that then can help build a green industry that can help scale green economies. So then we're talking scalable opportunities, not just to decarbonize, but for job creation, for socio-economic impact, and especially when you look at, by 2050, the largest workforce on Earth is going to be African. What a time to really, capitalize on this opportunity and create those opportunities for the youth of today, for the jobs of tomorrow.
And then, in closing, participants, how do I get to participate in the Africa Global Green Hydrogen Summit and be a part of this event?
So, very great question, OG. And the Global African Hydrogen Summit, it has multiple different initiatives, multiple different conferences, meetings, so on and so forth. And so there's something for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we are driving an inclusive platform. So it's not just for ministers and CEOs, it's for engineers, it's for youth, it's even for civil society. Because as a nascent sector, it really, really needs everyone from across, I would say, an economy or society at the table. And so the website, globalafricanhydrogensummit.com, has all the information on how to register. For Namibians, we have special local rates because we appreciate that not all Namibian companies, whether they're large enterprise or SME or even micro businesses, can afford these rates. We have our country manager, William Shalamba, who's doing a fantastic job in terms of local outreach and engaging government, engaging private sector, engaging public sector to really ensure that we have a fully inclusive and comprehensive attendance. We have a 2-day youth program with over 200 students that we're sponsoring to come and be part of that. So not just students who have been abroad to learn about hydrogen and then coming back to the country, but those here studying at NUST, UNAM, etc. And we're also opening up to civil society. So we have a number of different institutions we're engaging with to make sure that they're also in the room. Of course, inclusivity goes beyond that. So what are the opportunities for women, say, for example, in the sector? We're partnering with the women in green hydrogen, also the women in renewable energy, to make sure that the program is populated with a fair and equal, diverse and gender inclusive balance. Yes, so there are many opportunities for many people across society to be involved. And that was part of the press conference that we hosted here a couple of days ago, was really to kick off the launch and to welcome everyone who really wants to understand the opportunities in green hydrogen for Namibia and for Africa.
Just again, the website?
Yes, it's the www.globalafricanhydrogensummit.com, or there is a shortened URL which is gah2s.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Oji.
Sanlam Alliance CEO Heine Werth recently spoke about the merger that the two companies embarked on. Sanlam and Alliance joined hands in September 2023, making it one of the biggest pan-African insurance firms in Africa.
So you can imagine it's not easy to make the decision to change the brand. But what helped us to make this decision was we now have the privilege to, what I really want to say, have an even stronger brand. We are replacing Sanlam with the combined brand of Sanlam Alliance. And as many of you may know, Sanlam is possibly the strongest insurance brand in Africa, definitely in South Africa. And if you look worldwide, Allianz is the #1 insurance brand in the world. It is one of the biggest insurers worldwide, and they've entrusted our groups across Africa to now also use their name.
Staying on matters related to Sanlam, its CEO for Namibia, Tertius Stier, said that the company would not depart from its Namibian roots but would remain entrenched in Namibia.
You may now ask, why would you choose to join two such big forces? And the answer is quite simple. Together we are even stronger. It's not just about growth, it's about creating a stronger, more impactful presence in Namibia and across Africa. A bit closer to home, what will it mean to the Namibian business? We by no way will give away any of our Namibian heritage. We've also been close to 100 years in Namibia from our very first office down in Luderitz. And we'll be sharing our 100-year birthday in about 2 years from now. The reality is that we will remain an independent, strong Namibian company with strong local shareholding. Our shareholding is still just under 30% by Capricorn Group and 16.9, say 17% by Nene Financial Services, the broad-based economic empowerment company of the unions, proving that we are strongly rooted in Namibia. But with the presence of Sanlam Alliance, we can just be even stronger. And
Jorge Marquez of DMG Events recently gave members of the public a brief overview of what is expected at the upcoming Global African Green Hydrogen Summit.
It's a global summit. We have participation from all around the world. Here in this slide, you have a little bit of key focuses and country case studies that will be represented. They were represented last year as well, but certainly this year there will be even more representation. We're talking about South Africa. We're talking about Kenya. Actually, Kenya is a country that it's a big delegation coming, but also they are part of many committees that we are working with at the moment in terms of the programs. Egypt, Morocco, Mauritania, and many others. Nigeria, of course, and many others. In terms of the Namibia 5D Project Online, this is also a document that we worked with the Namibian Green Hydrogen Program that provides this document, this page particularly, will be on one of the brochures that we shared with you.
The director of the Financial Intelligence Center, Brian Asep, recently updated the media in terms of efforts that are being made to ensure that Namibia does not have an extended stay on the Financial Action Task Force's grey listing.
Strategy and tactical approach to how do we remediate these findings and get out of grey listing. We voluntarily reported to the FATF in July 2024. And from February to July, we had most of the action items partly being addressed. And this is the great work that the National Coordinating Committee, consisting of the FIC, the Bank of Namibia, the BIPA, the ACC, NAMPOL, NAMRA, Master of the High Court. This is the great work that these men and women did. In our first compulsory report, we got 4 out of the action items were largely addressed. Last week in Strasbourg, our second progress report were considered. And the FATF noted that Namibia has made commendable progress in remediating the findings. We are now left with 5 action items that needs to be addressed. All of our action items is either largely addressed or partially addressed. And if we go on in this trend, which we believe we will, I think we will see the light in the end of the tunnel very soon. And we are going to make sure that that light will shine bright on Namibia.
Staying on FIC matters, ASAP also briefed the media in terms of efforts that had been made to ensure that law enforcement agencies were up to task to deal with issues of financial crimes.
About 381 investigators across the law enforcement spectrum. So whether it be from national intelligence, whether it be from the ACC or the Prosecutor General, and from the Namibian police. And this initiative is really to ensure that our law enforcement is capacitated to investigate parallel financial crimes and also complex financial crimes, because we have seen that there is sometimes a lack of capacity. So we took the initiative and said, this is our financial intelligence report. Let us assist you and tell you and capacitate you. How do you use this and actually turn this into evidence which is ready and presentable in court? Now, Christian will be very mad at me if I don't talk about these successes as well from the compliance division. So you will see that there's about a 98% increase in on-site compliance assessments and about 729%. It's not a Zuma moment, colleagues. This is the real figure. And this came about on the urgency of us wanting to exit the FATF grey list. We had to accelerate, improve the quality of our on and off-site examinations. So we automated a lot of the processes. For example, the off-site assessment is now completely automated. We do not have to really do manual processes in that. And that has really caused us to increase our off-site and our on-site compliance and supervision of the entities that we regulate. Now, the colleagues in this regard, we have also said that, look, it's one thing to monitor, to supervise, and to enforce compliance, but let's form a partnership with the entities that we regulate. We create awareness, we train them to ensure that they strengthen their internal controls, and through that we strengthen our whole AML, counter-terrorism financing and counter-proliferation financing framework within the country, because we believe that if we forge a partnership with these entities and they serve as our initial gatekeepers, the work on the back end where the FIC comes in will be lessened, and we have a collective responsibility.
The chairperson of the Board of Directors of the Financial Intelligence Center, Charmaine van der Westhuizen, briefed the media in terms of efforts that had been made to produce the anti-graft body's first annual report.
At a time when trust in institutions is hard won and easily lost, I stand here today before you proud to say that the FIC continues to earn that trust day by day. It is therefore with a sense of pride and sincere appreciation to all our stakeholders that we table this annual report, which accounts for the key achievements of the FIC during the 2024-25 financial year. The annual report shows the continued commitment of the FIC to its primary mandate of safeguarding the financial systems through preventing and combating money laundering, terrorism and proliferation financing. We were the inaugural board of the FIC and we had a full plate tackling the first year of business. We had numerous terms of references to approve, numerous policies. We had to formulate the first FIC independent budget and organizational structure, and, as Zenobia has already highlighted, a new institutional strategy. To kick off, the board was fortunate enough to be able to embark on a 2-day visit to the Financial Intelligence Centre of South Africa. And given the close similarity between the organizational operational models between FIC South Africa and FIC Namibia, and also the deep socio-economic ties between our two countries, this proved an invaluable exercise. And the visit allowed board members to gain initial exposure to the typical governance of a financial intelligence unit in the context of the Edmund principles on FIU autonomy and independence, and also the requirements of the Financial Action Task Force principles. The 2024-2025 financial year can be recorded in the history books of the FIC as a year in which this institution developed and launched its first ever independent corporate strategy.
The CEO of the Old Mutual Investment Group Namibia, Lionel Kannemeyer, recently informed investors of the efforts that asset managers make to ensure that investor funds are protected.
When I just think of the amount of money that we these days spent on research, buying in research from international service providers, it blows my mind. But those are the tools that we use to empower our local investment team that is led very competently by Tyrone van Wyk, our Chief Investment Officer. These are the tools that they use to make sure that we give you access to the global markets. We recognize the trust you place in us when we choose to invest. And we are dedicated to uphold the highest standard of transparency, integrity, and performance. Together, we embark on a journey to grow your wealth while contributing to the broader economic progress across continents. So thank you for joining us today.
Nampower recently broke ground on the construction of the Soresguyp photovoltaic power station in Roshpina. Upon completion, the 100 megawatt power plant will be the biggest solar plant in Namibia.
Yeah, and just throw it back to the front. Sorry. It's a silent.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't say.
Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the Business 7 Show. Hope to catch you again next week. Have yourself a pleasant evening.